Free Matt Trent. Free Matt Trent. Free Matt Trent. I'm doing everything on God's green planet to get you back. I have pledged Matt Trent joining us for everyone listening on XM Radio and Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I need you back on Twitter, my friend. Nevertheless, how are you? Oh God, I love you so much.
I just also respect the fact that you still keep my Twitter handle under my name.
They asked me about it. I'm like, hell no, we're leaving it. We're leaving it. You're coming back. And Elon, I trust.
I'm telling you, man, it's going on like, let's see, it's going on 2 months without it.
Do you realize how bad I feel because it was about me and it was just a damn joke? Like, do you know how bad I feel?
So it's funny.
I didn't do anything.
I saw someone from when I was in Hoover covering LSU. I saw someone that works in another SEC market, and they're like, "Man, like, what's going on? Like, you haven't been on Twitter. Like, what happened?" And I told them the whole story. So again, for those of you that don't know, Blake sent me a GIF after the basketball national championship because I'm from North Carolina. I was rooting for North Carolina, and I made the comment, super sarcastic, super jokingly. I was like, "Hey, Blake, I'll murder your entire family and make it look like an accident." And apparently that's frowned upon on Twitter. And I told this person that, and they were like, "Yeah, that's pretty intense." I was like, "Well, in hindsight, I've had a lot of time to reflect and look back on it. I really shouldn't have written that." And they were like, "Yeah." I was like, I should have put LOL at the end. Like, that's...
I really thought you were setting yourself up for the Conor McGregor. The champ does what the heck he wants.
Yeah.
I take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody. That's what.
Yeah.
You set yourself up for it.
I mean, yeah. Again, like, I just communicated a thread. I didn't go through with it. So,
first off, you know good and damn well. Never mind. That's for a different topic for a different day. When we're doing this whole time, we will have the freedom to talk about that. Matt Trent from WBRZ is our guest. Matt, I want to start off with this football very quickly, and then I want to extend this with you with football. Mel Kiper came out today. I don't know if you've seen it. I know you were playing golf. You shoot like 12 below par. You're probably the best media golfer I've ever seen in my life. But nevertheless, LSU has projected right now with players on the team 4 first-round picks. 4. Now, Matt, you remember in 2019, obviously they had the 5, or was it 6? I forget. But obviously Joe Burrow being the number 1 overall pick, it's a huge difference. Matt, when you see that, though, and look, you play college athletics just as much as I did. When you see that much talent on one roster, Matt, he's got to turn it around, dude. There's not an excuse when you have that much talent. Am I wrong in thinking that, or am I right in thinking that?
No, and I'll be totally honest. This might be a really hot take because I saw a headline today that was about that draft board, and Mel Kiper, I think, has Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud in the first round.
Right.
And I personally think it should be reversed. Me personally, like, if you go back and watch the LSU Alabama game, if you go back and watch the Texas A&M Alabama game where A&M, like, Bryce Young's mechanics are about as piss poor as they could be in clutch situations. Like, his footwork is really bad. Like, it's really bad. Like, you go back and watch that LSU game when they played in Tuscaloosa last year, there were so many I'll be honest, Alabama should have beaten them by 2 more touchdowns than they already did because he missed so many wide open throws. A&M game, same thing. He gets like really wide when he throws, and then he gets kind of short. That's why you see a lot of balls sail on him and stuff.
Right.
But so then I'm thinking, like, if he doesn't clean that up, and then C.J. Stroud has like a decent year, and I think you said like Kayshon Boutte like 4.
He's 4th on the LSU list. He's at like 25 or 26.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, depending on how those 2 guys go, and Kayshon has like a pretty decent year. I don't even think he has to have an unreal year. I think in my opinion, he's top 10 just de facto. And if he has a good year, he's top 5. That's just my opinion. Just from you, I don't like. I'm not a big, go by the numbers type person. I'm just what my eyes and my really huge brain tell me. So
Zach Nunez, that's a shot, Zach Nunez.
yeah. So I'm just saying, like, if you can find another receiver, another offensive player that's as explosive or more explosive than Kayshon Boutte, that's not a quarterback, I'll field all arguments. Like, I will.
I think the only thing with Kayshon, and I made this argument today with a buddy of mine, we haven't seen him play a full year. Like, so it's different with Stingley, okay, in reference to we have 19. We don't have that for Kayshon. We had it for Jamar. We don't have that for Kayshon. And quite honestly, we don't have that Jamar Chase kind of production from Kayshon yet. Matt, we probably can. I mean, like, let's not.
But I mean, be honest, Blake. Like, if you've watched LSU football for half a second, especially the Ole Miss game of 2020, and you can't tell me that Kayshon can't do that every game.
Oh, I'm not saying he can. I think that he can. I'm just saying I can see where they're coming from, right? Like,
sure,
I can see it, but nevertheless, I agree with you. But on the Brian Kelly thing, and I agree with you on Bryce Young a lot. I said that and got ripped on the SEC podcast. Shout out to our people over at Believe. But, Matt, I'm not putting expectations on Brian Kelly when I say this at all. Like, I'm really, really, really not. Because he can go 6-7. It doesn't really matter to me because it's it does and it doesn't. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't. Like, he's going to have time to build this. But again, when you have that much talent, man, you got to make something happen. You can't go 6-6 again, Matt. The tide's got to be turned here. Don't you believe?
I really do, because I do, but I don't, because you get so much grace in a first year. Like, Jay Johnson is a prime example. Like, in my personal opinion, again, in the hierarchy of ranking who should have been SEC baseball coach of the year,
Schlossnagle.
In my personal opinion, should have been Schlossnagle.
Agreed.
In my personal opinion, should have been Texas A&M Schlossnagle. Then, honestly, it should have been Jay Johnson. And then Tony Vitello third. Because you look at, like, Tennessee's entire weekend rotation is 95 plus. You've got a dude that throws 105 coming in the back end of the games. Schlossnagle took a team that had, if I'm not mistaken, single-digit SEC wins last year.
They had 9 SEC wins
and took them to a number 2 seed, and they're hosting a regional. But then Jay Johnson comes in here with
a catch-up packet,
a myriad of issues, both physically, talent, like all this stuff, and he gets them to the first round bye in the SEC tournament, was on the brink of hosting, and then now you're a 2 seed. Like, but with Brian Kelly, people are going to look at it as like, people are going to always look at like the talent that he brought in. He did not have time to recruit his type of recruits. Okay. He's a big offensive line guy, and everybody's going to say, well, he got Will Campbell. Well, yeah, he got Will Campbell to stay. He didn't get Will Campbell to come, if that makes sense. So, like, that's all well and good, and that's what I applaud Brian Kelly for doing. He got a lot of placeholders to stabilize this roster. And I think he did. I think he did more than stabilize the roster. I think he improved it. I think he improved it in a lot of areas, especially on that offensive line. So I think that, like, going, oh, you've got all this talent, like, you need to, like, do this and that. Sure. We can do the whole, like, roll the ball out because you've got LeBron on the court and go say, but you can't really do that in football because there's more to it than that.
Agreed.
So, like, and honestly, like, I think that the court who is the quarterback is going to be the biggest trickle down effect that we've seen in LSU maybe in the past 3 years. I really firmly believe that.
I can make the argument history.
I would
20 years.
I would honestly, like, whoever plays quarterback is going to determine a whole lot of what they do, not just on offense, but for that entire program with that entire schedule.
Dude, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. And you said something, this is why you're in the business, because you set me up for a fantastic transition when you talked about Jay Johnson and Schlossnagle. Last week, I did say I thought if I had a vote, I would have given it to Schlossnagle. The only difference that me and you had was Tony V2. Look, man, you swept 4 weekends in a row. I don't get too Rudy.
I get that.
And look, we're fighting over semantics at that point, but I still think Schlossnagle should have won. Let me throw this your way and transitioning into baseball into that. And you're spot on with the football thing. In transitioning to baseball, you were there this weekend. First off, you found my doppelganger. Okay. First off, don't ever send me that again. It's spooky as hell.
Did you post that video?
No, I didn't.
You need to post that video.
It was too spooky to me, man. A dude wearing the hat like I do, the same jeans that I do.
I told you when I saw him, because that was the day that LSU wasn't playing, and I got there and I just was like sitting in the stands watching, and I saw that dude. And my initial reaction, I was like, "Blake." No, that's not him. That's not
okay.
him.
Well, first off, I'm already practicing. Since you will be there covering the team, I'm going as a fanboy. Okay, call me a fanboy all you want.
Mm-hmm.
I am going full Steve Austin. This is not a paid promotion for Miller Lite. I am going to be crushing the finest Pilsner on the planet Earth, Miller Lights. I want to be all over BRZ, and Cobb would be like, dude, what is this guy doing? And I'm just, stone cold Steve Austin it, double fisting, pause. I need that on camera. Never.
And then you're going to turn around to a group of security guards being like, "Sir, can you come with us? Just come with us."
I'm going to be cautious. One of these days, I'll say what I really want to say. You don't have the authority, biatch. That's what I will say. Anyway, Matt, you were covering the team. That last game against Kentucky, man, they were extremely flat. I don't know.
Yeah.
You saw their faces. You were there with them. You covered them more than anybody. Them going out there against Kentucky, man, was it just lack of sleep? I mean, what was
I just think, like, with this team, especially the pitching staff, they only have so much in the tank. And when you expend all that, it's really hard to refuel on a short notice. You play that game against Tennessee, which was, I looked at the numbers, and that day, and obviously there were multiple games, but that day was the highest attended game of the SEC tournament.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, for that day, there were like 12,000 people there all throughout all those games. I'm going to tell you, like, Tennessee was 90% of that stadium that night versus LSU. And LSU fans travel, as we know. I just think that they did everything they could in that game, and they held one of the top offense in the country to 5 runs. That's good, in my opinion. And they battled. But I think that, like, having to expend all that energy and you lose, so there's like there's an emotional and there's a mental aspect of it to turn around quickly within 13, 14 hours and play another really good Kentucky team who's clawing for their NCAA tournament lives, just like everybody else that was on the bubble. It was just a perfect storm that was not going in the favor of LSU. Look, like, Jacob Hasty just didn't have it when he started. Didn't have it. You saw it with Raiselman. Was really, really good. Gave up a homer. Then the wheels kind of started to fall off. Lost the control a little bit. But it's not – you can't walk away from that tournament being like, well, this is not the LSU that I've used to been seeing. Yep, that's exactly the LSU that we've seen 56 games. They're either really, really good or they're just really, really bad.
I mean, that's such a mouthful in reference to what you're saying, because you're spot on again with that, man. I mean, look, it's going to be hit and miss. And Matt, quite honestly, you call the Southeastern game. You've been around college baseball literally more than anybody in this. Look, we have 250 people in here, whatever it is. You've been around college baseball more than any of us probably combined. Let me say this to you, and I'll get your reaction on it. I want to be careful here. I don't think that LSU has I don't want to say they have a chance to go. I don't want to say they don't have a chance to go to the College World Series. But, Matt, with the inconsistency, you can't have that inconsistency in the regional or supers. You can't have that inconsistency against Southern Miss because they might have the best pitching staff in the Southeast. And, Matt, that's not me saying it. Okay, you got pro scouts talking about it. Okay, we know multiple of them who have been saying it. Can this team win a regional? Talent-wise, yes. When you look at them, though, do you see them coming out of Hattiesburg with the regional win?
This regional, yes. It's going to be super tough because before I came on here, I was looking at just like overall NCAA baseball stats. The leader in ERA for a team is Tennessee right now, with a 2.35 ERA. You know who's number 2?
Southern Miss. Right, I know.
So, like, yes, can they win this regional? Absolutely. But I don't trust LSU playing multiple games in a day. I just don't.
I agree. Matt, your midweek guy throws 96 to 97.
Yeah, and like, look, if you look at it on paper and what they've done, and this is kind of the brilliance of Jay Johnson, he has strategically, probably over the last month or so, set up that bullpen to throw in tournament settings, multiple games on multiple days, strung right beside each other. And I came into this tournament being like, yeah, like I'm not crazy about them playing multiple games in a day, but they've got the bullpen to do it. Well, right. They do, but they don't at the same time. So, like, yes, they can win this regional because I think Southern Miss is actually pretty beatable when you put up with LSU. Like, yeah, they pitch it really well. Their hitting is decent, but they're kind of like
Southern Miss and LSU are the polar opposites. Would you make that comparison?
Sure, yeah, because I've seen them. I think I've seen them 2 or 3 times. My girlfriend is a Southern Miss grad, so I've had to like watch Southern Miss baseball all year.
Are you near her right now?
No.
Tell her that Golden Eagles are buzzards on steroids, and see if you sleep on the couch tonight.
Babe. Blake said the Golden Eagles, Southern Miss's mascot, is a buzzard on steroids. She said that's sweet.
She either loves me or hates me. I can never get a read.
Well, it's funny. Well, you know what's funny too is like, so I'm actually good buddies with Scott Berry, the Southern Miss baseball coach's son. Right. And I saw him. Hey, doesn't he live in Hammond?
He does.
Yeah, he lives in Hammond.
Yep.
And so I saw him in a Southeastern game, and he was like, I said, Garen, are you guys going to host? He was like, I don't know. I go, what do you mean you don't know? Like, he was like, we might get a national seed. I don't know. So, like, I don't even think that Southern Miss is going into this regional confident. They might be going in being like, oh, we're hosting? Like, all right, let's get the band back together and let's play these games.
I've never seen so many Sun Belt, Ray down yonder on the Chattahoochee. He gets harder than the Hoochie Coochie Sun Belt, Bible Belt people on Twitter in my life.
So, funny story, too. I was watching the beginning of your show when you said, hey, I don't know what a Hoochie Coochie is. Can someone tell me? The Southern Miss grad, of all people, knew what it was. And again,
I told you. See?
Because you said, does anyone know what a hoochie coochie is? And she was like over by the cabinets over here, and she kind of looked over and gave me a side eye, and I was just like, oh, you know? She's like, she was just like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, well, I mean, all right, cool.
Shout out to the girls from Mississippi. They're always lovely and fun and dandy. Put in those comments right quick, Pooh. I saw you put them up there. Matt, we have some people saying and asking what kind of wine that you're drinking. Oh, look who it is. Mike Scarborough. Matt taking big gulps of that Frenzia.
Man, if this wasn't a family program, I would. Oh man.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Rico Delgado says Matt drinks. I don't know how to say that.
Lambrusco?
Lambrusco.
I don't know what that is. Closest wine to Kool-Aid. That's fine. Look, I'll dabble with some wine in a box sometimes. If I'm feeling ratchet. Like come on,
brother. Do the ratchet, yeah. Do the ratchet,
yeah. Like seriously, like guess what a $400 bottle of wine versus a 4 bottle of wine does to you? Gets you drunk. Like,
well, I think it's the level of hangover. The richer it is, the better the hangover. Like that's the only thing. Aunt Marcia says Matt is definitely a black box guy. I don't know what that means.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great. I'm fine
it's like this. It's like the Talladega Nights. I don't even know what it means, but I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, finest Pilsner, man. Finest Pilsner. Shout out to Stone Cold Steve Austin. But not shout out him for stunnering The Rock a couple of WrestleManias ago. Let's get to a couple of these hashtag Ask Matts. Doug knows this hashtag Ask Matt. How does the new NIL legislation help LSU? And is LSU ready to pounce once it's passed? Now, Matt, me and you talked about this off the air, I think. Brian Kelly had some interesting words in reference to that they're ready to pounce once legislation changes. Buddy, did we really think that Scott Woodward and Brian Kelly wouldn't have a plan for NIL? Like, are we that naive?
Here's my thing about this. And
don't hold the punches.
I'm not going to claim that I am all up on the NIL legislation because we're all still kind of figuring out this
agreed
market because we hear like, oh, Alabama's Bryce Young is getting $8 million and all these other NIL there's such big gaps in the NIL market that no one really knows what the going rate for these players are. Okay. But I always found it humorous when people would say LSU is behind in the NIL market. And I always found it humorous when they were like, LSU's gotta do something. They're way behind. What's that old saying? It's not how you start, but it's how you finish.
Correct.
So when you have all this money stockpiled, just because you don't throw it on the first horse that comes across the screen or across the betting card doesn't mean that you're behind. I mean that you're calculated. I mean that means that you're rational. And I think that with anything that we've seen in the past, 6 months, you're a perfect example of that. Have you like NIL deals and Gordon McKernan's throwing out money like it's Friday night at Crazy Horse. Shout out Port Allen. I mean,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Look, I mean, let's be real. I think if there is anyone that is going to lower the boom on NIL, it's going to be Brian Kelly.
Agreed.
I personally, and I'm not even about to touch the Alabama A&M situation. Not even going to do it. But I think that if we know anything with NIL, if you have a coach that's halfway competent and knows how to maneuver, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Matt, LSU, here's the biggest thing for me. I may or may not have done a public records request. And I may or may not have found out that LSU was number 2 in the SEC in donations given in the 2021 fiscal year at $46.375 million. A&M was not even on the top 5. Now, you can say to yourself, money was going in different places. But come on, man. I don't give two Rudy Poos how much anybody else is doing. $46 million is a lot of money. You're not giving each one of these kids every single year $1 million when you have a Bryce Young public records request on what he made on some of his NIL deals, and Matt, they don't touch 7 figures. So for that being said, this whole value of the NIL, it's not true. We're in the digital game. Okay. These kids aren't garnering that, and people are rich because they don't make bad business deals.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest too. Like us as a station, like we've reached out and tried to do NIL deals with LSU players and tried to say, hey, like using the apps, the Matchpoint app to try and connect people, which it really is a good thing because it just cuts out a lot of the monotonous middle work that needs to be done. But and I'm not going to, name names, but a very higher profile player for LSU we tried to get in contact with. And it was like, oh yeah, I'll do that for $400, $500. And I was like, what? Like, I'm expecting us to dole out 2 and 3 and 4,000. He was like, yeah, I'll just take $500. Oh, okay. So what are we, like? I'm telling you, no, to the people that aren't in these programs and aren't administrators at these universities that say they know what's going on in NIL, they're lying to you because no one does.
You win the comment of the week. It's Tuesday. You've won the comment of the week. Yeah, they don't know, bud. They think they do, but they don't.
Because I'm talking to kids and I'm like, hey, what did you get for this and that? He's like, oh, I got like $300-400. What? So you're telling me if Bryce Young is getting allegedly $8 million, I mean, he's got to have thousands of donors and deals coming in. Look, I don't know that many people are lining up to throw money at Bryce Young or Keishawn Butte or Joe Blow at wherever. It's not working like that. It really isn't.
And I will say this because I know that you don't want to or can't. There is some truth in what Jimbo has said. There can be a little bit there. He's all right. We'll move on. All right, but nevertheless, one last question. I can't find it. Oh, Al Landry, Matt Seal has 3 more days for the bootleg wine in the closet to be done.
Got that, baby. I got a closet full of White Lightning at my house. We ready to go, baby.
Does the White Lightning make the trip to Hattiesburg?
I don't want to incriminate myself because if there were any law enforcement on this show, they would, say, oh, you're crossing state lines with an illegal substance, a controlled substance. So I'm not going to say anything, but I'm not ruling it out. Let's put it this way.
Oh God!
I don't want to incriminate myself, but yes,
you're so going to federal prison. All right, Matt Trent, Twitterless Matt Trent, dude, you're fantastic as always, man. Thank you so much for coming. I will see you. Actually, not my doppelganger this time. I will see you no matter what in Hattiesburg on Saturday.
Can you please post that video? I think your fan base would get such a huge kick out of it.
They maybe would, but they wouldn't get the context of what you said to that poor guy to try to get my attention. That's the funny thing. Hey, biatch, and everybody's looking at you. I get it. I'll do it. All right, Matt. I'm not doing it. Matt, it freaks me out. I swear to God, I was like, bro, did he take this video of me like a couple months ago?
I swear to God, I thought it was you. I really did.
Matt, I thought it was me. I'm like, I only went to one game. Like, and you were off. You didn't even work that day. Like, I'm like, this is freaking me out. And then I saw the SEC logo, and I'm like, dude, freak me out.
Trust me, you need to post that video.
All right. We'll post it. All right. See you in the Berg. Look, I will be again. Stone Cold Steve Austin double fisting. Pause. Just letting you know. Get it on camera.
I think to make it better, you need to have 2 O'Douls and do it.
No, you know what would make it better? We're in Mississippi. I got to get some Busch Lights or I got to get some Pabst Blue Ribbon.
My girlfriend's brother loves Busch Light. Can't do it.
Ask when you get off, ask your girlfriend if her brother, when he opens a Busch Light, if when he cracks it open, does he go Busch?
She just did it
in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
every time.
Best episode ever. Best episode ever. Don't be caught without a PBR in Mississippi. That's all I got to say. All right, we got to go. See you, Matt.